Good evening.
Good evening.
We're here for this evening's redistricting hearing on the superintendent's proposal for setting a zone, establishing a zone for Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School, and also to address some capacity issues at surrounding schools. This evening we are joined by our board chair, Mrs. Morley.
Good evening.
Board vice chair, Mrs. Kramer.
Hello.
Board member, Mr. Lucas. Superintendent, Dr. Navarro. I am the Chief of Operations and Supporting Services for Charles County Public Schools, Mike Heim, and I'm also joined by our two co-facilitators for redistricting, Mr. Jason Tompkins, who's our Transportation Director, and Mr. Steve Andritz, who's our Director of Planning and Construction. This evening we'll have a brief presentation regarding the plan, the proposal, and then it'll be followed by an opportunity for our audience members to provide input or ask any questions they have regarding the proposed plan. The first slide, we see a recent photo of the school construction at Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School, which is located at 5860 St. David Drive in White Plains. It's in the Highlands neighborhood off of St. Charles Parkway. If you're familiar with the White Plains golf courses, it's just down the road south of that on St. Charles Parkway. The school will open in school year 25-26 at a cost of $45.4 million, and it's 91,595 square feet, and it'll have a state-rated capacity of 778 students. The superintendent's charge. The committee was charged with creating two alternatives. So we had two committee groups who met from the period of November through January, and they were tasked with establishing a new school zone for our newest elementary school, Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School. This was not a comprehensive elementary school redistricting process. The goal was to create an attendance zone for our new school, along with potentially addressing any overcrowding issues at surrounding schools. There are three board policies that any redistricting committee has to follow when establishing these zones, and they are board policies 1900, 1910, 1930, and our goal was to move students from surrounding elementary schools with due consideration of state-rated capacities and anticipated growth using target enrollments provided by school and county government staffs. So for the public's information and knowledge, we had representatives from Planning and Growth Management and County Government who provided data for us on neighborhoods, developments that are out there that are going to be allocated school seats in the next 5 years. We also had members from the town of La Plata who also provided information on enrollment growth within the town, because the town has its own separate policy on issuing school seat allocations. General guidelines that the committees followed. All neighborhoods are eligible for redistricting except for those currently designated as non-transport walking areas. Whenever possible, neighborhoods should not be divided between different schools. Account for current and future residential development when meeting enrollment targets, and then consult with transportation staff regarding the possible effects to existing school bus routes when moving students. When proposing changes to existing school zones, move students furthest from the current school to another school whose current attendance boundaries borders the existing school. I'm just going to skim over the timeline. During October board meeting, the committee members were selected during that board meeting, and then they started meeting in November and met through the month of November, December, and January until they both had two separate plans. During the March board meeting, the presentation was given by the two groups. We've held 4, including tonight, public hearings. The first public hearing was held before the two groups met to provide input, so the groups could consider that before making any decisions. And we've held 2 public forums since the proposal was given for both A and B, and then this evening is the public hearing following yesterday's board meeting when the superintendent gave her recommendation. And then the last step will be in June. We anticipate that the board will take action to amend and vote on a plan. I want to highlight quickly the modifications to Plan B. So the superintendent chose Group B's plan with a few modifications. So I'm going to read through those modifications. Plan B of the superintendent's modifications moves 531 students compared to Group B's, which proposed to move 1,044 students. The superintendent's modifications do not move any students from Berry Elementary School. Group B's plan proposed moving block 3781 from Berry to Diggs Elementary School, and that would have potentially moved 126 students. Superintendent's modifications do not move any students from Diggs Elementary School, Plan B, which Plan B proposed moving block 3750 to Billingsley from Diggs, and that was 235 students. So again, the superintendent's proposed plan does not move any students from Diggs. The superintendent's modifications move less students from Billingsley Elementary School. The modified plan does not move block numbers 2732, 3862, 3859, and these three blocks are located along Billingsley Road. Block 2732, which will now stay at Billingsley, has 29 students within that block. Block 3862, which is being proposed to stay at Billingsley, contains 71 students, and block 3859 has 60 students. So again, those three blocks would stay at Billingsley Elementary School under the superintendent's modified plan. And then last, the superintendent's modifications to Plan B places less students at Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School, allowing for more growth in a zone with projected enrollment growth. And again, the state-rated capacity at Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School is 778 students. Plan B proposed for the opening of the school in 25-26 to have 618 students there. The modified superintendent plan proposes having 542 students. So you can see the difference, allowing for more growth. And please keep in mind that the blocks surrounding, which are moving from Middleton to Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School, are within the St. Charles development, and per docket 90, that area of St. Charles is allocated 300 school seats per year. So we will definitely see growth in that new school zone. You see a map here of the current elementary school zones. The next slide shows the superintendent's modified plan, and again, Plan B with the superintendent's modification moves 531 students compared to 1,044 students. The next slide, we see the actual zone for Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School. Again, with the state-rated capacity of 778 students. There was no official enrollment for September 30th, 2023 because the school is under construction and will not open until school year 25-26. The projected enrollment under the modified plan will have 542 students at the school when it opens in school year 25-26, and 3 years later in school year 28-29 is projected there'll be 655 students there. The next slide is just an enlarged view of the proposed zone for Margaret J. Thornton Elementary School. The next slide that we see is Berry Elementary School. That's Plan B with superintendent modifications. And again, those modifications are not to move any students from Berry. The original Plan B was going to move students from 37 to 81 from Diggs to Berry, and they will stay at Berry. The state-rated capacity at Berry is 724 students. The official enrollment in September of this school year was 753. Their projected enrollment for school year 25-26 is 717, so that is under the state-rated capacity. 3 years later in school year 28-29, the projected enrollment is to be at 770. That is over the state-rated capacity, but please keep in mind at Berry Elementary School there are 7 relocatable classrooms on that campus, and with an average of 20 to 25 students per class, that provides an additional capacity of around 140 to 175 students. And the relocatables do not count towards the state-rated capacity. We see the enlarged block zone for Berry. Next, we see the modified Group B with superintendent modifications zone, and we also see the numbers. So the state-rated capacity at Billingsley is 758. Our September 30th enrollment for this school year was 698, which is under the state-rated capacity. The projected student enrollment for school year 25-26 is 567, and for 28-29 is 567. We see an enlarged blow-up of the Billingsley zone with the superintendent modifications. A key thing with that is that you see those blocks that are along Billingsley, they are staying at Billingsley and not moving away from Billingsley under the modified plan. The next slide we see is Diggs Elementary School, school zone with Group B and the superintendent's modifications. And the modifications proposed by the superintendent keep the Diggs zone as it is, whereas Group B had a block moving out of Diggs to Billingsley and a block coming from Barry to Diggs. State rated capacity at Diggs is 725 students. The official enrollment for the school year was 846. The projected school year 25-26 enrollment is 785, and the projected enrollment for school year 28-29 is 797. This is a large blow-up of the Diggs zone with no changes per the superintendent recommendations. There will be no changes to the current zone. Matula, we see in red, those areas of Matula are proposed to go to the new elementary school, Margaret Thornton Jameson Elementary School. That's Group E plan, and the superintendent made no changes with that. So the impacts that'll have on the enrollment at Matula when this in 25-26 when redistricting takes effect, the proposed enrollment, projected enrollment will be 494 students, and in 28-29 at 586 with a state rate capacity of 656. Something for the public to keep in mind with Matula. Matula zone contains a new development in the La Plata area, which is Pine Grove. And as I mentioned a few minutes earlier, the town of La Plata has its own school allocation policy, which is distinct from the county policy because the town is an incorporated town. So the town proposes on a yearly annual basis to issue at a minimum 100 school seats for the town of La Plata, but as you look at their 10-year plan, there are years when the number of school seats issued could be between 200 to 250. So again, just like when we talked about the Margaret Jameson Thornton Elementary School because of the Highland neighborhood and Glen Eagles, that we anticipate a rapid growth in that. We also anticipate seeing some rapid growth in La Plata, depending upon the market and how the housing market plays out. We know that the interest rates have had a slowing impact on the sale of new homes. Just an enlarged blow-up of the Matula zone. Sure.
So additionally, there is in the Pine Grove neighborhood a school site that will be built for another elementary school in the future. So just as Mr. Heim mentioned, that growth, there is something that will be in the neighborhood.
And that was an agreement that was placed on the developer for that and the school seats that are being issued for Pine Grove. Next, we see the Martin zone. Plan B, Group B, moves one block from Mitchell to TC Martin. The superintendent made no changes with that proposal from Group B. The state rated capacity currently at Martin is 450, but Martin is going under an extensive renovation. They will move back into that school this fall. So with that added capacity of 29,000 square feet, the state rated capacity will increase from 450 students to 650 students, and that's noted in a future slide. The official enrollment for this school year was 551. Projected enrollment for the when this takes effect in 25-26 is 572, which is still under the new state rated capacity of 650, and projected enrollment for school year 28-29 is at 589, which is also under the new state rated capacity. And we just see an enlarged picture of the TC Martin zone with the new block added. Next, we see the Middleton Elementary School zone. This is Plan B with superintendent modifications. State rated capacity at Middleton is 507 students. The official enrollment in September was 696. Projected enrollment for 25-26 is 297 students, and projected enrollment for 28-29 is 298 students. We did task both Group A and Group B with keeping the enrollment at Middleton under 400 students. Middleton is going to begin a new program next year, a dual immersion program, so we wanted to allow room for growth with that program. So the red changes there, instead of going to Middleton, those 3 blocks, which I referenced when we discussed the Billingsley Elementary School, those 3 blocks will stay at Billingsley. And now we see an enlarged proposed map with the modifications for Middleton. Next, we see Mitchell. On the top right-hand, we see that one block which I referenced during the TC Martin discussion. That block is going from Mitchell to TC Martin, and that is along Oliver Shop Road as a reference point. The state-rated capacity at Mitchell is 578 students. September 30th enrollment for this school year was 605 students. Projected enrollment for school year 25-26 is 550 students, and projected enrollment for school year 28-29 is 555 students. We see the enlarged Mitchell zone. Next, we see J.P. Ryan Elementary School. This is the original Plan B as submitted by Group B, so no modifications were made by the superintendent. We see that block going from J.P. Ryan to Middleton Elementary School. State-rated capacity at J.P. Ryan is 640 students. This year's official enrollment was 619. Projected enrollment for 25-26 is 574, and projected enrollment for 28-29 is 631 students. And we see an enlarged J.P. Ryan Elementary zone with the Group B changes. Then the last school we're going to discuss this evening is Wade Elementary School. Again, this is Group B's plan with no modifications made by the superintendent. The one change with Group B is that block, it's in green in the bottom right-hand corner, is coming from Billingsley Elementary School, and that is along St. Patrick's Drive in Waldorf as a point of reference. The state-rated capacity at Wade is 679 students. The official enrollment for the school year was 636. Projected enrollment for school year 25-26 is 576, and the projected enrollment for school year 28-29 is 578. And we see an enlarged blow-up of the Wade zone. The next two charts are used for a comparison purpose. So we'll discuss enrollment, state-rated capacity, and then looking at 2 years growth, and then the following chart will look at 5 years growth. So on the far left-hand column, we see the elementary schools that are listed there, that either under Group A, Group B, or the superintendent's modifications would have changes. The second column shows the state-rated capacity. Again, that's a number of schools that can be in a school based upon the square footage of the school and considering the instructional areas of the school. There are 3 notes there, and I've discussed one of them already. Middleton at 507. Their state-rated capacity, we tasked both Group A and B with keeping, as I mentioned a moment ago, Middleton state-rated their enrollment under 400 to allow room for growth for the dual immersion program. We've completed 2 kindergarten additions this summer, so they were open for the start of school this fall, and they were at Malcolm Elementary School. So we see that 394, that state-rated capacity will be adjusted by the state. So we're in discussions now with the state on that new state-rated capacity, along with J.P. Ryan had a kindergarten addition completed this summer, which opened in the fall. So their current state-rated capacity is 640, and that will be adjusted based upon the additional square footage in classrooms that were added. I've discussed the official enrollment, so you see the official enrollment for this September 30th for each of those schools, and that is consistent around the state. Each LEA uses their September 30th enrollment as their official enrollment when communicating with the state on various reasons for enrollment. Plan B, we see, which is the plan that the superintendent is going with the modifications. In the 5th column, and then the last column is the modified Plan B, and we see those projected enrollment numbers for 25-26, as I discussed when we went over those maps with the charts. And we see the same information, except for the last column, we see the state-rated, I'm sorry, not state-rated, but we see the enrollment growth for school year 28-29 for those same schools. The resources, I would encourage the public to visit. You see the webpage there for the redistricting. It contains all the presentations that have been given from the onset of this process. And also you see the email address there. So for the public, we encourage the public, if you have not yet done so, and there's input or questions you have, to send any input, questions or comments to that, and we will reply to those comments. Also, any emails that we received from the onset of this process in October, we are compiling a list. We are sorting that by school, and all of the comments, all the questions will be shared with all the members of our Board of Education in advance of the June board meeting. And what's next? The next step will be on June 12th. The board will have an opportunity to approve, June 11th, the board will have an opportunity to approve or modify the plan that is being put forth by the superintendent. So at this point, we would turn it over to our audience members for any questions or comments they have, followed by any comments or questions by our board. Yes.
Okay. All right. Can I introduce? Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Our first speaker this evening is Mrs. Lester. So if you would come up to the podium, please. Yes, please.
Yes, please. Just tilt it down.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
My name is Janae Lester. My daughter goes to Matula. We're in block grid 2531. And I'm just asking for possible modification to this. I've emailed, but I just felt like in-person presence is good as well. We live, I know you all mentioned about the town of La Plata and the different, they have other rules and stipulations, and I don't know the logistics of that, but in that aspect, living in the town of La Plata, I feel like we should be going to a school that's in the town of La Plata, which would be either Matula or Walter J. Mitchell. To go to a school, drive past the school that we are currently at, to go to a school that's considerably zoned in White Plains, to me, just as a parent, that's it, just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm just asking for possible modification to grid 2531. Because again, I live in the actual town, I pay town taxes, and I just feel like this is the reason why I came, not Charles County, but to the town in itself. It is a small school, Matula, and I do appreciate that. I feel like going to the new school would be, the growth would be, a big hurdle and change, I'm sure for many, but my child, since I'm speaking for her, I just think that I would like it to be possibly modified, reconsidered, I just had my whole email. I don't want to read it out loud, but, it's just for her, my child, it'll be a pivotal point for her. She'll be in the 4th and the 5th grade her last 2 years. And, going from a smaller type classroom to a larger one, will she get that same type of one-on-one that she has with her teachers? Will we get the same type of, and also I'm not sure, would this school be a Title I or just a regular Title I school, or is it just a?
That won't be determined, that will not be determined until we have students at the school, and then that is based upon the number of farm students at the school. So we won't know that till we actually have those students in attendance.
Okay, I wasn't sure how that works, but yeah, I'm just very concerned, and I'm also kind of I would just like it to be possibly modified, maybe reconsidered, and just maybe a change, possibly. Again, we moved to the town for those certain reasons. And again, to be living, and I know the redistricts, they all take different places, but to live in La Plata, to go to White Plains, they're neighbors or cousins, but I would prefer her to stay where she's at, especially for the last 2 years of her elementary school. So that's really it. And I have my emails, and I'll just email until the 11th. So.
Ms. Lester, we've been emailing back and forth?
Are you Michael?
Yes.
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Yes.
So as I mentioned earlier, I have received your email
Okay.
from other community members. So those have been compiled by school.
Okay.
We share with all of them.
Okay, that sounds good. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lester. Thank you, Ms. Lester. I just have a quick question. What grade is your child in now?
She's in second.
Second. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
At this time, if our second speaker could come up to the microphone and introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Taj Dahab, but you can call me Ibby. When I heard our block, I live in the town of La Plata, and I have 2 children at the Matula school. One is in 3rd grade, one is in 2nd. Second and 1st, sorry. They're gonna yeah, I got that wrong a couple of times. They're so close in age. When I heard that we were going to be rezoned, I really did get upset. I was like, no, I felt like I was going to lose a family. That's how close I am with Mary Matula, Mary Matula School. We've built relationships with the teachers. My teachers, I'm sorry, I'm so nervous.
Don't be nervous.
My kids are so excited to go to school every day because of the relationships that they built. And that's why we moved to La Plata, me and my husband, because we wanted, I want to second what Ms. Lester said, that because this is a small town and it's such a community, we always go to the community events, we see everyone there. So I don't want my daughters to lose that aspect of why we're in La Plata. Also, the drive, I work in the Wills Group, so it's literally probably 10 minutes from the school. It's an easy drive for me. To drive past Mary Matula to go get my daughters, it's gonna hinder my work-life balance, because now I have to, because I work from home, so I have the ability to go pick them up and bring them home. So I don't like using the bus, I'm sorry. I like to drive them to school just because I want to spend that 10 minutes in the car with them. So that's another reason I want them to leave all the way to White Plains, because then I'm going to be using more of my time during, the breaks that I have for work. And my daughters, as you can see, don't want to move either. They want to stay with their teachers and their classmates and their community. I hope you guys, reconsider block 2531. They're nervous.
It's all right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, ma'am.
This time I would call the third speaker to the podium, please. And you could announce your name and provide your comments, please.
Good evening.
Good
My name
evening.
is Kelly Snipes, and I apologize for my lateness. I was beating traffic trying to get down here from work.
No worries.
But I was at the last redistricting meeting that was held in April, and I did get a notice, I believe Monday or Tuesday of this week, and I just wanted clarification. So we are in block 3862. And so from the notice that I saw, it stated that block 3862 in the Plan B is now going to stay at Billingsley. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, and that's the plan that is going to be going up for vote in June? Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. So there.
So can I clarify that?
Yes.
So there are three options for the board, and the board can make its own option in June. There's option from the community groups that brought forward their recommendations. There's Plan A. And just as a side note, in Plan A, Block 2531 does not move. In Plan B,
She's on 3.
No, she's talking about the previous speaker.
yeah, I'm talking
Oh, you're
about
talking
Block
about them. Okay, okay,
2531. In Plan B, that was the second recommendation that we did. And then there is the superintendent's one we just went through, that does not move your specific block.
Okay.
But the board has the option of going for Plan A, Plan B, or the modified Plan B, which is the superintendent's recommendation, or the board can do a modified board recommendation in June.
Okay. So as I said, I am in block 3862. Again, my name is Kelly Snipes. I live in the Aspen Woods community. I did greatly appreciate seeing that possible modification, the superintendent recommendation. I was here in April, and like many of these families, we're not with Matula, but we are with Billingsley, and our school is 2 minutes away. We very much want to stay in our community. I have been doing my own work as far as going and talking with neighbors, and if you have not already, you should be receiving more emails from the Aspen Woods community to the email address, really indicating that we greatly want to stay with our home school. As I've stated previously, we do have a member of our community who recently joined enjoying the transportation, and he rides the bus with the students. And that's just where we live. That's where we live. That's where our kids socialize. That is their community. We have become connected with the schools, with the teachers, and the kids with their friends. So I would, again, strongly suggest and recommend, if possible, that if we could please go with the superintendent's modification to Plan B. And again, I thank you for that update from the last meeting that we had in April. So thank you for my time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Snipes.
Ms. Snipes was our last speaker who signed up, but we do have some other audience members. So if there's anyone else in the audience who would like to ask any questions or provide comments, we would welcome you to go up to the podium.
Would you all like to share anything?
No, we live in the same neighborhood as I'm sorry, she hit it right on the nose.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Would you all like to say anything? Aspen Woods. Okay. All right. You even, despite that, you're welcome if you want to just on the record share your thoughts as well.
No.
You don't have to, but nobody wants. Okay, it's okay.
Okay, no
Understood.
problem. Thank you.
Ms. Morley, I would turn it back to you if any you or any of the board members have any comments or questions.
Sure. Look, of our millions among us, right? Mr. Lucas and Ms. Kramer, do you all have any comments or questions?
I don't. Thank you all for coming out, though. Thank you for sharing your comments with us.
No, I'm good. Thanks for coming out.
Yes. Same for me. Very much appreciated. And I appreciate Ms. Snipes and Aspen Woods neighborhood that you all have been following it to understand, the proposed changes. And just to reiterate what the superintendent said, that there are 3 plans currently to choose from. We as a board obviously have not discussed it. So it's not like there's a contender or a lead contender right now, but the superintendent is recommending the modified Plan B. And thank you also for speaking on behalf of the Matula community. We appreciate getting the feedback, because that is very significant for us as we weigh our decisions. I didn't have anything else, Mr. Hine, Mr. Dawkins.
One last time, I'd like to remind our audience members who are in person or any of our audience members who are participating virtually, we do have the redistricting webpage. It's on the school system's website.
Thank you.
And I would also encourage anyone who didn't have an opportunity to come out in person, if they still have any questions or comments, that they could send those to our email address it's redistrict@ccboe.com. And again, any comments or questions that are sent to us via that email, we are compiling a list which we will share with all the board members, and they are going to be sorted by school. So any of your questions or comments will be shared with the board members in advance of the June 11th board meeting. And again, the next step would be the June 11th board meeting. So I would like to thank our 2 committees, groups A and B, who spent months with Mr. Tompkins, Mr. Andrus, and myself developing these 2 plans. I'd also like to thank Mr. Tompkins and Mr. Andrus, who are co-facilitators. It's a lot of work and a lot of preparation and providing data and information for each of those meetings to make sure that those groups have all the information they need to put forth 2 great proposals. So again, we appreciate all the work that was done behind the scenes, and we look forward to the next step in this process.
Dr. Navarro, any final words?
No, just thank you for the community members that came out. And I'm glad that the email pushes that we try to send to Synergy to very busy parents and families that are getting through. And please continue to educate your community members. So if they're not aware that this is happening, if you have a neighbor, just knock on the door and say, are you aware that the school system, because we really need that feedback. The board is really asking for that feedback. And they will make an informed decision as a body on June 11th. So thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you all so much. Kyle, please take us off the air.